Alright, folks, let's do this. Shall we? Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood. Grand finale for this expansion. We're on the last patch now, 4.5. Probably gonna be like 4 hours, I'm guessing, to finish this. But I've only got about 2 hours before I need to take a break to go... I need to run a quick errand and then I'll come back. But it'll take long enough that I'll have to stop the stream and then start it again. Which doesn't matter for anybody watching this on YouTube or whatever in the future. But for anybody who tunes in live, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna be here for like 2 hours, then stop, and then come back like probably an hour later. But yeah, for right now, let's just see what we can get done. Setting up my timer so I don't get carried away. Off we go. Alright, we're back in it. Resuming Stormblood Part 4. New Game Plus mode activated. Soul searching. Way back in the Rising Stones. Wait, did everybody switch positions? Oh wait, no, I think we... Well, let me double check. Right. Okay, yeah, I think we did talk to everybody after everything that went down last night. Oh, this is new. Riel has left to rendezvous with Alliance forces. He means to serve in Thancred's stead in their infiltration missions. Hey, good for him. Ninja Pirate Riel. What about you guys? We Scions who can still perform our duty must take up the burden of our comrades who cannot. We will continue our watch over the Beast Tribes and do whatever else may be required of us. He already said this last time. So some of them changed their dialogue, but not everybody. It cannot be discounted that Mistress Kryl has heard the voice as well. I'll ask the Tar to send her word of what has come to pass. Okay. Same thing as last time. Noticed it too late. Whatever. It's about... Well... Yeah, I do wonder if we're gonna see her. He is busy with all that Eureka business, but... Soul searching. Holidays at her wit's end. That crystal ball. We know who they're about to go contact. Just by looking at that, it's like, oh. Her again. Great.
I'm glad you've come, though I'm afraid there's little in the way of good news. After you left, we reached out to both the Alchemists Guild and Stillglade Fane and attempted all manner of treatments. But the results were always the same. Whatever the answer is, it's not alchemy or conjuring. Why did it have to be Y'shtola and Urianger and not me? Out of all of us, they are the ones who could feasibly have solved this puzzle. And Elfino's still missing. God, it's all going wrong. Where do we even start?
A grave situation indeed. Might I be of some assistance?
I was wondering if we were going to see Kryl or not, and here she is.
Kryl? I thought you were busy delving into the mysteries of Eureka.
When word reached me of the plight of our friends, I could not well stay away. As a fellow scion, not to mention your erstwhile mentor, this is one of those times you should feel free to call on me, regardless of my personal circumstances.
Yes, I should have thought of that. Thank you for coming, Kryl. We would welcome your insight.
And I should be happy to provide it. Now, what's this I hear about Alphino heading into Imperial territory? That boy always did have some funny ideas. Do you remember the speech he gave when he was accepted to the Studium?
Oh boy, here we go. Story time.
My life's goal is naught less than the salvation of this star.
That is fantastic. That's what Alfino would say if he was here. You bastard!
That particular grand pronouncement has been a source of great embarrassment to him, as you know. But the fact of the matter is, he meant every word and has lived his life accordingly.
It's less embarrassing that way.
Yes, he remains altruistic to a fault. But I'm worried he was too fixated on his goals to see the dangers, as has happened before.
You needn't be so concerned. Though his values remain the same, Alphino is not the blinkered boy he once was. Slowly but surely his eyes have been opened, thanks to a certain someone.
Oh, you guys are giving me too much credit here. Come on.
A certain someone whom he'd be mortified to learn had heard about his little speech. Mum's the word, eh?
My lips are sealed.
Right, I'd better have a look at our patients. They're in the infirmary, I assume. I'll need absolute quiet, so it would be best if I did this alone. If you'll excuse me.
But yeah, at least he's living up to what he said, right? That does make it less embarrassing. He wasn't all talk. It's worse to proclaim things like that and then not follow through. Then it's kind of like...
All three are in fine physical health. At a glance, I would say they were merely sound asleep. Except for the fact that I couldn't sense the slightest trace of them in their bodies. It's as if their souls have taken leave of their physical forms.
Ah, yes. The Elder Seedseer made a similar observation.
I've read the report. When you heard this mysterious voice, you described feeling as if you were somewhere else, yes?
That's what it felt like, yeah.
If we assume the ether which comprises your essence is being drawn to some other place, then it may be possible to follow the trail it leaves behind, just as we did in our search for Thancred.
I wasn't around for that, but I can't imagine it was easy.
Oh, it wasn't. But that's no reason not to try. I will have need of Master Matoya's crystal eye if I'm even to make the attempt. So I suggest we pay her a visit.
Well, yeah, time to go see Matoya again. As always, I expect her not to be very happy to see us. But we'll see. Shit. I was actually gonna sneeze that time. Please do keep Alfino's little speech to yourself. He can be awfully sensitive at times. Don't worry, I won't say a fucking word. For now. I heard Master Matoya was something of a recluse, but this seems extreme. Still, I'll happily overlook her eccentricities if she agrees to help us. Yeah, she's a recluse, alright. She's like, oh great, it's these fuckers again.
Come to disturb my peace again, have you? I hide myself away in a cave, and still you people insist on pestering me with your problems. Oh, I mistook you for young what's-his-name, but I see now you're the sister. Weren't you supposed to be the lively one? I've seen happier faces at a rain-sodden burial.
Oh my god! Matoya, please!
Well, I'm sorry to dash your expectations, but the situation isn't exactly conducive to gaiety.
Ha! That's more like it. Stoller used to spit and hiss like a wildcat too. Better for a young thing like you to be filled with fire and leave the doom and gloom to your elders.
A wildcat, she says.
Now, what exactly does this tragic situation of yours have to do with me?
If I may, Master Matoya, we have need of your crystal eye once more.
Stola, a cat girl, used to spit and hiss like a wildcat too, she says. This writing, gotta love it.
And Stola is one of the afflicted, is she? Very well. She may be an ungrateful stray, but she's my ungrateful stray, and I'll not see her buried before I am.
Again, with the puns, I don't know if they're intentional at this point or not. Stray.
Right, let us see what we can see. I'll begin from where our friends first fell, and cast my senses out from there.
What is it? Did you find them?
This doesn't make sense. How is it even possible?
How is what possible? Kryl, what did you see?
The threads, they just ended. And no, I didn't lose track of them. I followed them as far as they went. It's as if they were cut off.
Could the ether have dissipated if it had? Oh gods! Their bodies are just husks. It's like the broodmother's daughter all over again.
No, this is different. The Kalyana girl was already dead, body and soul, when Lakshmi effected her resurrection.
Aye, let's not jump to conclusions. If their physical forms yet breathe and show no signs of wasting, then it follows that their souls must still be intact somewhere.
But where?
That's the question, isn't it, girl? Death has not taken them to the ethereal sea, yet there are no tracks left for us to follow.
We're no closer to an answer than when we started. But knowing their souls are still out there is progress of a sort. We just have to keep looking. Pray, excuse me a moment. Yes? I remember, but... What, to Alamigo? We're on our way. That was Lee's. Apparently, a group of Populares have defected to Alamigo, and Maxima, the envoy Alphino left with, is one of them. I'm sorry. I realize we've barely begun here, but...
Go, child, go! You've made up your mind, and life's too short for dithering.
I'll do some digging in the meantime and see if there isn't some other method we could use to continue the search.
Let's be off then.
Oh, not again. The enchantment barely seems to take these days. I chalk it up to old age, but I rather doubt it's that simple.
Before they took ill, Y'shtola and Urianger were sharing notes on a thinning of the ether. It seems to be happening all over.
I knew it was related to that. I was like, wait a minute, this might be...
Does it now? And here I was, all set to blame my woes on that creaking mountain of refuse clogging up the Thaliac.
Alexander.
Fear something has gone awry. Still, there's naught to be gained from starting in shadows. You can only do what can be done, and that but one thing at a time.
I like how, coming from Matoya, that means a lot when she says, life's too short to dither, so hurry up. Because she's been around for a while. She looks old, but she's older than that. Been around for like hundreds of years or something. I'm sorry I couldn't do more. I've never seen a soul's thread end so abruptly before. It's pretty odd. So that was the woman who tamed Y'shtola. Tamed her, yes! I swear if Y'shtola were here, man, she'd just be like... constantly, at all of them. Mostly Matoya, though. Spitting and hissing at her, right? Like a wildcat. She's just wildcatting. That's what I'm gonna say for Y'shtola from now on. If she ever goes crazy, I'll be like, she's just wildcatting. That's all it is. She's wildcatting. I had the distinct feeling of being grabbed by the scruff of the neck and having the nonsense shaken out of me. Yeah, exactly. That is what Matoya will do to you. And there are, I've actually met a couple of, with all due respect, older people who are like that, yeah. They're stern, and they're no-nonsense type people, like Matoya, but they're not necessarily assholes either. You know what I mean? When Alphino is back, I'd like to visit again and ask her what tales she has of grandfather. Can't even turn the camera to see what the fuck is happening over there, but go get him, dude! Oh, it wasn't just a frog. It's little Reaper Lollipop, too. Must have been an escort fate or something. Nice, I got credit for it even though I did nothing. I didn't get any XP or anything, but just, you know, the fate complete thing. A defector's tidings. Okay, I'll start this, but give me 1 second. There we go. I had to go adjust something. There we go. I almost can't bear to hear what Maxima has to tell us. But it can't be bad news, can it? Lise would have said. Unless... Ugh, there's no point speculating. Lise said she'd notified the guards of our coming, so we should head straight to the palace gate in the Alamegan Quarter. I'll be praying for good news. Learn what you can about Alfino's plight and leave the search for our friend's lost soul to me. Alright, Crown. I love the little wave that all of us do. I can't help but imitate it every time. It's really cute. Alfino will be alright. He has to be. Chill out, Alize. He'll be fine. We'll save our boy. Don't worry. Greetings, Scions. The commander told me to expect you. Shall I show you in? Please. See what the hell's going on. Yeah, there's Maxima. He made it back in one piece. But where the hell's Alfino and the other guy they were with? The Shadow Hunter.
I'm sorry to drag you halfway across the realm, but when Maxima mentioned Alfino, I thought you'd want to hear the news in person.
Ah, we meet again. Though I was hoping our reunion would be under more auspicious circumstances.
What happened to my brother? Where is Alfino?
Never fear, my lady. Your brother was in fine health when I took my leave of him, and I have no reason to assume that has changed.
You assume?
If you will allow me, I shall endeavor to explain events. Our troubles began not long after we departed Doma. While crossing the burn, we were fired upon by the Emperor's personal guard and forced to make an emergency landing. As we stumbled from the wreckage, our attackers fell upon us again, and we would have perished there and then were it not for the intercession of a third party, a band of mercenaries whose leader claimed to pursue a vendetta against the Ascians. This Shadow Hunter, as he styled himself, then escorted us out of the wastes to relative safety. Upon arriving back in civilization, I gathered my Populares colleagues and prepared to flee the Empire. Master Alfino, however, declined the invitation to join us, preferring to continue his investigation into the Ascian threat.
Well, at least he's not lying in a heap in the burn. Tell us more about these Ascian hunters. Who are they? And is Alfino still with them?
He is. As to who they are, I'm afraid I have nothing to tell you. Beyond the fact that they root out and destroy Ascians, they were unwilling to divulge anything which might serve to identify them. They would not even reveal their next destination. But Master Alfino asked to accompany them all the same. Since parting company with your brother, we've been engaged in a game of cat and mouse with the Emperor's guard. We made our way through province after province, finding the army busy restoring order wherever we went, until we finally arrived here in Alamigo. I cannot thank Commander Aldin enough for giving us such an unexpectedly warm welcome.
I'm not inclined to turn away refugees, no matter which land they call home. And if they can tell me how things lie in Garlemald, all the better.
On that subject, there is much I would tell you. During the course of our journey, we heard tales that an entire rebel army had been slaughtered in the space of a single night. It would seem my former comrades grew tired of putting down uprisings in the conventional manner, and chose instead to bring a formidable new weapon to bear. Details were sparse, but the rumor alone was enough to dampen the flames of rebellion. I have also heard reports that several companies have withdrawn from their designated provinces and begun marching westward. It is my assessment that the Empire's forces are mobilizing for a large-scale military engagement.
Westward? You mean they're getting ready to invade Alamigo?
We knew this was coming, but not that it would be so soon.
We've barely even begun to shore up our defenses. They won't stop an invading army.
No, they won't. Dispatch messengers to the Alliance leadership requesting reinforcements, and send word to our officers in the field to hasten completion of those border fortifications. Prepare to meet the Imperials head-on! No matter how quickly we act, we still want for time. When the enemy comes into view, our best recourse will be to open negotiations with their commander, and see that the ensuing proceedings take as long as possible.
Would you and Alize head to Doma and let Lord Hien know about this? I'm sure he'll want to hear about Alphino too.
Consider it done. We'll send word when...
Untold sorrow
Not again.
must be changed. Ahead looms a calamity. Eon become instant. Throw wide the gates.
You heard it too. Well, at least we're both still standing.
Oh, thank the gods. I thought we'd lost you for a moment there. Why does this keep happening?
I wish I knew. Nothing we've tried has brought us any closer to an answer. We'll keep working on it. But first, we need to go and see Lord Hien.
So Alphino is safe, for the present at least. Now all we need to worry about is a full-scale Imperial invasion. I'm actually glad Lys tasked us with visiting Lord Hien. Better to be dashing from place to place than sitting around stewing over things we can't change. To the Enclave! Go, Alize, go! I'm right behind you. Alright. I see you have tidings for Lord Hien. May I show you in? Please. Holy shit. A lot of people here. Dalmascan Fusilier. Look how he looks just like one of the basic, like, Squire mercenaries from Method Tactics. You gotta love that attention to detail. The fall of Rabanastra was not the end of our nation. We who survived retreated on the ground and have been gathering strength to mount a counteroffensive. Dalmasca will rise again. That's the spirit. I knew I didn't help you guys for nothing. I am come to represent the lands of Nagsha. Long have we struggled in defiance of the Empire, waiting for just such an opportunity as this alliance presents. Good to know our timing was good. After their humbling at your hands, Magnai and his Oronir have spent every waking moment upon the training fields. Defeat does not sit well with the son and his children. Yes, I can imagine. We of the Blue Kojin will not submit to the Empire's tyranny. If only our red brethren would awaken to their folly. Yeah. I was gonna say this should be Sorbonne, man, but you know, he's got a new calling to attend to now, so I don't think we'll be seeing him anymore. The Imperials have enjoyed the freedom of the Ruby Sea for long enough. This time they've paid their dues. Well said. Akura. Big ass hit circle. Alone, Doma could accomplish little against the Empire, but in conflict with the allies who have gathered here today, we might do much. Always strength in numbers, my friend, always. Leon, you have arrived in time to witness the beginnings of our new alliance. Our proposal struck a chord with many of our neighbors, I am pleased to say. Thank you for the update, Waifu Yuguri. Ian, what's up, man? Well, actually, we have shit to tell him. Greetings, my friends. I was just discussing future endeavors with the members of our newly formed alliance. Yeah, we can see that. Straight to business. The Kojin and the Confederacy you already know, and it was your own strength of arms that won us the cooperation of the steppe tribes. We've also been joined by our neighbors from Nadsha and the indomitable citizens of Dalmasca, though the scattered nature of the latter's resistance will somewhat delay their official induction. Yeah. I can see that, yeah. These proud peoples have united under a single purpose, to stand against the tyranny of the Garlean Empire. I am glad to see your alliance is coming together so swiftly. As things stand, I fear we shall soon have need of your strength. I thank you for bringing me news of Alpino. His fate is never far from my thoughts, not only because he is our emissary. As for this sudden deployment of Imperial forces, I agree that Alamigo would be wise to shore up its borders with all haste. Every report we receive from our shinobi indicates a massing of troops in the western provinces. It seems all but certain that the Empire is poised to bring its fist down upon Eorzea. As Elidibus encouraged it. And I would help defect that blow, but I cannot risk sending reinforcements just yet. We will remain vulnerable to airborne assault until our wall in the burn is in place. The all-important Alagan energy barrier. That's right, we were working on that last time. The energy barrier, yes. I thought to call it something more auspicious. Oh really? A name drawn from the four lords of legend, perhaps? Said he used Aegis or some such. Well, just a thought. Naming it after Seriu, huh? Wonder why him? The Ironworks engineers report that they have finished calibrating the generators and are ready to proceed to the testing stage. Have you time to attend the first test? You've seen the field which protected Azislav firsthand, and I would be interested to hear how you think ours compares. Been a while, but yeah. I will come too if you don't mind. Though I am no Y'shtola, I may be able to offer some insight. Of course. Time being of the essence, it would be best if we make directly for the burn. Yugiri, I leave you and Hakuro to bring the war council to a close. Understood. Your mounts are saddled and ready, my lord. Wear the storms. As expected, Suino Sato failed to answer the call. Not that I blame the Ruby Princess. Enlightened as she is reputed to be, it could be no easy task, trying to read too fast here, persuading her people to relinquish their long-held isolation. Yeah. I'm even a personal friend of hers now, too. But yeah, she has to think about all her people. You obviously have some idea of what to expect, having seen the barrier at Azislav. But having not had that pleasure myself, I'm exceedingly curious to see a wall capable of keeping out one of those massive Imperial airships. Oh, you'll love it. We had to make a whole elemental battering ram and everything. Actually, it wasn't really elemental, it was just an ether battering ram. And we had to use Nidhogg's eye just to make it strong enough to penetrate. Crazy. Said to use wall. We will cross the burn by Yol and Falcon, as before. Join me at the overlook near the House of the Fierce. Alright. If we can but block the Garleans' airships, the speed with which they deploy their forces will be greatly diminished. Very much. Very much so. If only we could persuade our kin of the error of their ways. With the Red at our side, we would make a truly formidable force. That's true. One after another, tribes from across the steppe have come forth to pledge their warriors to the Alliance. Many simply crave a chance to seize glory in battle, it is true, but their eagerness is most welcome nonetheless. I know, whatever makes them show up, right? Out on the open sea, I would happily take on any vessel, but here on dry land is another matter. The Empire's iron monstrosities will ever have the upper hand. True. The jungles of Nagsha are dense and treacherous. The land itself prevents the Empire from ever truly conquering our nation. Long have we hidden behind it, bough and branch, striking where and when we can. Well, they have their terrain on their side. When the Empire put down Dalmasca's bid for freedom, our remaining forces were splintered. Bringing the scattered pockets of resistance back under a single banner will be our first order of business. Good enough. Ah, shit. Here we go again. Let us pray there are no sandstorms brewing out there. Yeah, I don't want us to go through that shit again. Ian, give the word when you are ready to take wing. I'm ready. Let's go. So, that wasn't a ship I saw off in the distance back then. It was this weird antenna thing from the Alagans. Like the other ruins that we came across. Ugh.
It seems the engineers have matters well in hand.
Indeed.
Should the barrier work as we intend, Doma will be free to reinforce her allies in Alamigo without fear of weakening her own borders. Honored friends, the time has come to put your hard work to the test. Start the generator.
Node 1 is operational. Nodes 2 to 8 are reporting similar energy levels. The barrier is forming. $1,000 yards, 2,000, 3,000. Expansion remains smooth. No fluctuations detected.
Now it's starting to look a lot like that.
4,000, 5,000. Target altitude reached. The barrier is holding steady at 5,000 yards. We've done it.
Starting to look a lot like the barrier that protected Esther in FF8. The hexagonal grid. If only we can put camouflage on it too. Just like Esther. Oh look!
Is that an Imperial airship? Of all the rotten timing.
Well, that's a good way to test the wall, Alize.
But this is a gift, Mistress Alize. They can test our new wall for us.
See, Ian sees it the way I do. This is great timing, actually. Well, it worked.
Seems solid enough. Though I was hoping for a fireball.
Holy shit! I was gonna say it fried their shit and they had to land, but you know, it didn't explode or anything. Kian wanted it to blow up. He's like, damn. Good thing it didn't blow up.
By the gods. It's Alphino. What are you? Let me go! He has my brother!
Lower the barrier!
Didn't want you getting fried, Alize.
Be at ease, girl. The lad is not dead, merely locked in slumber.
No, not him too.
Damn, even way over there, wherever the fuck they were, close to Garlemald, it still happened to him too.
We could identify no cause and found no remedy. Thus I sought to return him to Doma, and into the arms of Lord Hien himself, it would seem. It is a day for fated reunions. Would you not agree, adventurer? Or should I address you as the Warrior of Light?
I don't know, you motherfucker. Oh. Yeah. The weapon on his back? The little mask they teased before on his waist? Yeah, we know who it is. I mean, both are correct. Which is the cooler one? A black wolf.
Aye. Gaius van Baelsar, the Black Wolf. That was the title I was given. One I have long since relinquished. Stand down. The legatus of the 14th Imperial Legion died in Castrum Meridianum. I am no more than Gaius Baelsar, a man without rank or allegiance.
Impossible. There's no way you could have survived.
Do you remember how it unfolded?
Yeah, you were caught up in the flames and the explosions. I don't know how the fuck you got out of there.
How I was deceived by La Habrea? How I was convinced that reviving the Ultima weapon would allow me to bring peace to Eorzea? The Ascian used me, as he used so many others, all to further the restoration of his wretched god. Yet even with the might of Alec at my command, you bested me. And as the Praetorium went up in flames, I was content to burn along with it. For a moment, at least. A moment of folly. To surrender my life thus would have been to betray all who died for my cause. It was for them that I dragged myself free of the rubble, and swore vengeance on the Ascians. The Black Wolf has shed his pelt, never to return to Garlemald or her legions. I live now only to exact revenge. My principal quarry was to be La Habrea, whom I gather you have since ushered unto oblivion.
Sorry I took your kill, I guess. But yeah, he's gone.
But so many more remain.
long as their kind lurked in the shadows, laboring to sow chaos throughout our world. I would see each and every one dragged into the light and put to the sword. Are the Scions not of like mind?
Yeah.
In this single respect, perhaps.
Also, King Thornton took both of our kills. He killed La
Then
Habrea.
I shall continue the partnership the boy began, and share what intelligence I have acquired. Among the Ascians, the Black-Masked Ilk are subordinate to those who wear red. This you already know. Yet among the Red there exists a hierarchy. Those set adrift with the shards clearly stand below those still joined to the source. Nabriales, who once dared to intrude upon the Rising Stones, belonged to the former group, and while he was indeed a dangerous foe, his powers were inconsequential next to the paragons of the Source. The first was La Habrea, who plagues us no more. There is also the white-robed Elidibus, and the elusive Emmet Selk, about whom little is known.
We have files on La Habrea and Elidibus, but I believe this Emmet Selk is new to us?
Yeah, never heard the name.
As I assume my brother told you, we have evidence to suggest that an Ascian now walks in the body of the Crown Prince. Have you identified this interloper?
Elidibus seems the most likely culprit. As emissary, it is his role to maintain the equilibrium between darkness and light. Your many deeds in Hydaelyn's name have upset the balance, and I believe he seeks to restore it by throwing his considerable power behind the Empire. As a leader of the Ascians, he is one of our primary targets. It was on the trail of this very prey that the boy and I came across the scene of a failed uprising. In the absence of a single Garlean casualty, we inspected the bodies of the rebels, and the lack of any external injury drew my immediate attention. They had been slain by Black Rose, an alchemical invention of the Imperial Army. When I yet served as legatus, I ordered its production halted, and all stockpiles destroyed. Toxic gas is not a tool of conquest, but of extermination.
Toxic gas? This must be the new weapon Maxima warned us about. Something deadly enough to sweep away all resistance in a matter of hours. Gods. You don't think they're planning to use this in Alamigo, do you?
Put your fears to rest. We infiltrated the production facility and destroyed all existing stores of the chemical along with the plant itself. Even should they rebuild the operation, they will not soon manufacture another batch. Regardless, I would draw your attention to a directive we discovered in the plant's records. The document was marked with a recent date and authorized with the signature of one Zeno Ciegalvas.
A dead man signing the death warrant for thousands. 'Tis bad comedy.
But the tale does not end there. Within that same facility was a chamber filled with devices of elegant design. Cloning technology, we realized. And what should we find in each and every incubator? But a young Emperor Solus. All of which prompts the question, were the Ascians responsible for these abominations, or was it the will of the Emperor?
Great, we got clones just like an
I
SF-15.
must know which hand guides the Empire. Though I have given up my rank, I am yet a son of Garlemald, and I will fight for the future of my homeland. It is time I return to the hunting of shadows. We should focus on our common foe, To reopen old quarrels now would serve no purpose.
Alright.
You saved my brother's life, so I'm willing to let sleeping dogs lie. But in truth, it's not my decision to make.
You're right. There are more important matters at hand. We'll let it slide for now. It's all good. For now.
There was a time when I scorned those who placed their faith in false gods, even as I, in my blinkered conviction, place mine in Ascian promises.
Glad you finally sees the irony in it.
Unlike yours, my strength of will and my restraint was found wanting. We shall meet again, warrior of light.
Looking forward to it.
So that was the infamous Black Wolf. An unexpected ally, to say the least. Well, I am content to leave the fine-tuning of the barrier to cleverer minds. Let us bid our friends from the Ironworks farewell, and see what can be done for Alphino back in Dorma.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll be seeing him again. I don't know when, but eventually. Even should our alliance send a contingent to Eorzea, I will stay here in Doma with the remainder of our forces. As much as I would enjoy taking Imperial heads at your side, we cannot leave our borders undefended. Very true. What uncanny timing that Master Alphino should be returned to us just as we were testing the barrier. I only hope a cure can be found for his malady. Otherwise, the War Council has ended in unanimous agreement. To forestall the Empire's expansion plans in this region, our allies are willing to send troops to fight in Eorzea. Nice. Alright. We welcome the help. Use all the backup we can get. Alphino is safely ensconced in a private chamber. My finest healer is examining as we speak. Examining him as we speak. I think I skipped a word there. I've spoken with the physician and there are no outward signs of illness. Alphino is lost in a sleep from which he cannot be awoken, just like the others. It seems that even the lands of the Empire were not far enough away to escape that cursed voice. Wherever the hell it's coming from, then. Seems to be able to reach the entire fucking planet, it seems. I share your frustration, Alize, I do. But Alphino's returned to us alive and otherwise unharmed. All that remains is to find the means to wake him. Until then, you can but fulfill your duties as a scion. Yours and your brother's both. You're right, of course. There are arrangements to be made and little time to make them. Good business then, my lord. Now that we know Setiu's wall works as intended, can we expect reinforcements from Alamiga? You most certainly can. As promised, we will send troops to bolster our allies in Eorzea without delay. Excuse me? Pray be aware, however, that they will not arrive without delay. Save for some few who boast teleportation magic, so... Again. Even if I haven't eaten or drinking anything yet. Save for some few who boast teleportation magics, the bulk of our force must be transported by sea, a lengthy voyage for which the smaller vessels favored by the Confederacy are ill-equipped. Accordingly, I mean to enlist the assistance of the East Aldenard Trading Company in finding suitable ships. As for navigating the distances in question, we are in the happy position of being able to call upon those who plotted the course of my people's exodus to Eorzea. Beyond the procurement of ships, I think it unlikely that our East Aldenard friends will consent to any involvement in military operations, but I am certain they will afford Alphino a berth aboard one of their vessels. I shall have a Kyrujan accompany him every elm of the way to the Rising Stones. You have my thanks, Lord Ian. Yugiri, I will go on ahead with our friends to Alamigo. Enlist all those capable of teleportation and put them at the disposal of the Eorzean Alliance as soon as possible. They will form the vanguard. Yes, my lord. This is exactly what we'd hoped for. Lys and the Alliance leaders will be glad indeed to welcome the combined strength of the East. Very much so. Meanwhile, at the Black Rose chemical plant, good to see Gaius, now we know his name, and Alphino they put in some work and caused some damage to Garlemald, destroying one of those facilities. Putting a raid on it.
Our supplies at Black Rose have been ruined, but the new plant is already under construction. We should have the first batch ready in time for the offensive, Your Radiance.
Shit!
See that you do.
Ah, yes, the infamous Black Rose. If I recall correctly, Gaius did not much care for the invention. A ruthless and indiscriminate weapon indeed, this airborne poison. It seems you are capable of making decisions worthy of your bloodline.
With no gift for sorcery, we Garleans must look to Magitech to even the odds. If it spares the needless deaths of our soldiers and serves the cause of this empire, there is no method I would not employ.
How very noble of you.
Truly, though, I must commend you for embracing your role as Emperor. You play the part of the determined ruler well. Sometimes even I catch myself believing.
A silent agent of death. Now that I think on it, Black Rose may well possess the perfect aspect. Slowly but surely, the deluge of light has worked upon the ether here in the source, and the gas should be most susceptible to its influence.
Well, I shall leave you to your own devices. Go forth and bloody the land with your grand and glorious war.
While you do what, precisely?
Need you ask? I will be doing what all Ascians do.
I am well aware that your kind exists only to usher in the next calamity. But you seem oblivious to the harm your singular agenda causes to the Empire. You cannot have forgotten the events which followed your mortal demise. Our homeland was plunged into civil war for your failure to name a successor. The edifice you so carefully constructed was but a hair's breadth from collapse.
Are you truly so naive? You thought me oblivious to the consequences of a departure so painstakingly timed?
It was by design?
Well, of course it was. Though I will admit the resulting panic exceeded even my wildest expectations. But how can you be surprised? Throwing the world into disarray was the very purpose for which this nation was, as you say, so carefully constructed.
Now, if you have no further questions, I must be on my way. Since we may not meet again in this lifetime, it would be remiss of me not to offer a word or two of gratitude. I really must thank you for this surplus of vessels. I can mold any host into my own image, but having bodies tailor-made for me in this fashion is so much less tiresome. You dabbled in elegant cloning techniques, yes? It certainly is a compelling, not to mention entertaining, field of research. And of all the options available, you chose the Founding Father on whom to experiment. You have a twisted streak to you, Varus, like grandsire, like grandson, hey? If events play out as planned, this will become something of a family enterprise. You will be the capstone of this world, I the anchor and shard, and together we will give the lie to this star's fraudulent existence.
So that further confirms he was, yeah, I guess... See, I was a little confused, I should put this into context first. I was a little confused at first if this Asian, this guy, Solus, whatever, Galvus, I forgot the middle part, the Emperor, he said the founder of Garlemald, which is him, was an Asian. So, was he always an Asian? Like, or is this another case of, like, with Elidibus taking over Xenos' body? That's what I'm still a little confused about. But it seems more and more like their conversation implies that, no, the Asian is actually Solus himself. If you get my meaning. He was always the guy ruling over Garlemald. Just the secret wasn't out until now. For us, the audience, anyway. And, you know, that's why... So I guess... Well, yeah, because he mentioned that when the Emperor Solus died, of old age or whatever, it was planned. This guy died on purpose. He left the Empire... Well, he didn't name a successor, right? He said that was on purpose as well. He just died without naming a successor and you know, planned for the War of Succession, the Civil War in Garlemald to happen way back between The Realm Reborn and Heavensward, I believe it was. That's when that was happening. But so I guess what confuses me about that is if he almost talked like it was in third person now. He said, like, grandsire, like grandson, but then he said this will almost become like a family enterprise. So I'm guessing he's implying with that even though he's an Asian, he had kids, which is, you know, obviously Varus, and then Varus' kid is Xenos, of course. So can Asians do that? That's what I'm wondering about. I was like, aren't they just made of pure ether? That's what I'm wondering about. But we never got to see what Solus looked like in actual life before he officially died. And then now he just inhabits the bodies of these clones of himself, but younger. These younger versions of himself, these clones, which is that version of him we're seeing. We didn't actually get to see Solus in his old age before he died, before the War of Succession. So yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of a loose ends there. Nothing like too dramatically important, but to me it's kind of like, wait, so was it always an Asian who started Garlemald? And if so, how did he have kids? I thought they couldn't... Well, I assumed that they wouldn't be able to do that if they were just made of pure ether. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like, was it always that way? Or was Solace actually a human being who was then possessed by an Ascian? Which is the guy we're seeing, the maniac we just saw. That's kind of what really bothers me, is not knowing that. I'm like, was he human at one point? Or was he always an Ascian? That's kind of what it comes back to. It's just kind of a mystery in my head. I'm just like, how exactly is this set up? Maybe they don't want us to know yet, intentionally, but... Or maybe it just doesn't really matter. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to read between the lines of their conversations, but I can't tell. Go on ahead, Leon. I will join you and Alamigo with our advance party as soon as I can. Alright. Come, let's return to Lys and share the good news about our Far Eastern reinforcements. Carl lay on the front lines. We must leave now to convene with Eorzea's leaders. There may be some time before I return to Doma. Hakuro, I leave you in command. My lord! I shall assemble an advance party with all haste and join you in Alamigo forthwith. I've just received word from Lys. The Alliance has established a base camp near Alamigo's northeastern border. Once we've arrived in the locks, we're to report to a resistance officer stationed in Porta Praetoria who will point us in the right direction. Let's not keep them waiting. You can tell when I'm trying to read too fast, because I'm really into what's happening, because I'll fucking trip over my words and shit. Oh, the text. Seriu's wall is a formidable barrier, but we cannot afford to lower our guard even for a moment. Only constant vigilance will keep Doma safe from her enemies. This is true. Good luck, Hakuro. You're holding the fort. Here. We find our battlefield in Alamigo. Oh shit, that was further than I thought it was. Here, I think we found the guide Lys mentioned. Here we are again, ready to fight the same foe. Yet I would not be anywhere else. This conflict concerns us all. Come what may, we cannot allow the Empire to regain its grip on Alamigo. True that. Let's kick some ass then. Ah, you must be the Scion party I was told to look out for. If you'll follow me, I'll take you directly to Alliance headquarters.
Welcome back, you two. Greetings, Lord Hien. Glad you could join us.
Glad to be here. I would have come sooner, where our own defense is not in question, but I am pleased to report that our soldiers are assembling for deployment to Alamigo as we speak.
We're grateful for your support. Thanks to the efforts of our allies, it won't be long before we've established defensive positions on this front as well.
We have some good news too. Alphino has come back to us. As for the bad news...
Bad news is he got fucking wrecked, just like everyone else.
So, Alphino won't wake up, Gaius van Baelsar is alive and hunting Ascians, and the Empire is planning to poison us all with toxic gas. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
Ordinarily, any one of those things would have left me in shock. But the way things have been lately, it's all starting to seem pretty normal. Getting back to your report, are we sure this Black Rose is the weapon Maxima was talking about?
It fits the description. And it seems we have Alphino to thank for sparing us an early demonstration of its effectiveness. I have a feeling this won't be the last time his bravery in the Empire will serve us here in Eorzea. The threat of an unknown weapon has had us all on edge. But now that we know what we're dealing with, we can take steps to defend against it. As for Gaius, I'm not sure what to think. Am I happy he's alive? Not in the slightest. Am I happy he's hunting Ascians? Aye, I'd have to say I am.
Oh, speaking of Garleans you didn't expect to see, we have a tale of our own, as it happens. When we sent envoys to the Imperial Army to request talks, they returned with the message that Varys Zos Galvus would be attending.
The Emperor himself. Well, Varys did sanction the Popularis peace mission. But knowing that an Ascian walks in his son's skin, I do not see how we can trust him or anyone from that nest of vipers.
The Alliance would proceed with negotiations regardless, if only to give ourselves more time to prepare. We do, however, require your cooperation.
Right. Yes. So, as a condition for the talks to go forward, the Empire has requested that a member of the Scions be present. There'll be a representative from each Alliance nation, of course, but I'm afraid we have to ask that you come along too.
Gods, Lise, you know how much I hate politics. But then, what choice do I have? Alphino and the others aren't going to do it.
This is true.
Very well. I shall attend as the Scion's representative.
In case you're wondering why I didn't ask you, the Empire also requested the presence of Eorzea's champion.
As a separate entity, I get it. Well, don't worry, I'll be there.
That's settled then. We don't know what Varys means to bring to the table, or why he wants you there, but having you close at hand will make all the difference.
I'm obviously no stranger to politics.
The meeting will take place on the border. Anticipating an early assault, we mean to position the bulk of our forces nearby.
The Alliance leaders should already be on their way. Once you're ready, we can head out and join them.
6 countries flags all together. Come a long way from when we just started off as 3 little nations cowering from the Empire. Should the Empire decide to ignore the rules of parley, we could be fighting far sooner than we'd like. Keep your weapons close. If Charlene could not negotiate peace with the Empire, I rather doubt war can be avoided here. But every moment we steal for our preparations will count in the final reckoning. Yep. Is Emperor Varys enthralled to the Ascians? That is the question. Well, we as the audience know the answer to that. Nice little base camp here. Alright, Lise, what's up? Well, I don't suppose it's polite to keep an emperor waiting too long. Shall we? Let's go have our little sit down with the emperor, huh? Personal guards, I'm guessing. We forgot about Emmerich because we didn't see him outside.
Esteemed representatives of the Eorzean Alliance. On behalf of the Garlean Empire, I thank you for inviting me here today. As this parley was convened at your request, I invite you to speak first.
Very well, Your Radiance. I, Nanimo Ulnamo, 17th in the line of Ul, should be pleased to oblige you. As recent events in Alamigo and Doma have made plain, the subjugation and exploitation of neighboring nations is not a sustainable policy.
Exactly.
Should this day end in war, you may very well defeat us. But you will never extinguish the people's desire for freedom. Though it may not be in our lifetime, there will be another revolution, another war, and the cycle will continue. Doma has entered into a concord with the nations of Eorzea, a partnership wherein we recognize one another as equals. Garlemald could be afforded similar treatment. You need only set aside your ambitions and join us in paving a path towards peace.
You will not win me over with sophistry, Your Grace. As you know only too well, this alliance lacks the strength to keep the peace within its own borders. Even now, your struggles with the Beastmen continue unabated. Divided, you sow this fertile soil with the seeds of your differences and reap naught but discord and chaos for your trouble. Eorzea must be united under one leader, one purpose. I would offer you both and bring an end to your strife.
With all due respect, Your Radiance, the only thing that you offered the people of Alamigo was fear and hopelessness.
The citizens of Doma can also attest to the meager arms of Imperial rule. There is no purpose to be found in a life of oppression, each day more uncertain than the last.
Our people are willing to die for their freedom. A great many already have, and countless more will, if we don't put an end to this madness here and now.
We brought order and stability to your lives. This madness and bloodshed is of your own making. You broke the peace, not Garlemald.
Peace. Order. You kill our peoples, despoil our lands, take everything that is ours. And what? You expect us to lick the boot that grinds our faces into the dirt?
Tell him, Robon.
I expect you to weigh the costs. To recognize that countless lives have been lost on both sides in pursuit of a greater good, and to not squander all we have achieved in a fit of petulance.
Your Radiance, I fear I can personally attest to the dangers of pursuing one's vision with such righteous fervor. For 1,000 years, the Holy See of Ishgard waged war with dragons. A 1,000 years of sacrifice, of sorrow and hate, in which we bathed in the blood of friend and foe alike. Had it gone on any longer, we may well have drowned. Yet we have chosen to raise ourselves out of this bloody spiral, and have since made peace with our former enemy.
So I understand. No doubt the dragons were more receptive to your overtures in the wake of their leader's demise. You speak of peace, yet use war to achieve it. Your father would not have bothered to obscure his intent with honeyed words. He understood that strength is all that matters in the end. Without his clarity of vision, I can but wonder what will become of Ishgard and her people. There was a time when Garlemald too lacked a leader of conviction. Weak and unable to wield magic, we were at the mercy of the strong from whom we sought refuge in the bitter cold of the north. Were it not for the discovery of ceruleum and the subsequent development of Magitech, we might never have gained the power to take back that which was rightfully ours.
You speak as if your people were the first to have been driven from their homes. Limsa Lominsa was built by wayward souls in search of a place to call their own. On the shores of Vilbrand we found it, and from those humble beginnings did we grow and flourish. And all without robbing our neighbors of their liberty.
So saith the pirate. Am I to believe that you simply asked the kobolds to yield up their lands and that they were happy to oblige you? That you did not drive them out like rats in the hold of one of the many ships seized by your privateers?
Got her.
I will concede that after centuries of exile, reclamation may be mistaken for invasion. Nevertheless, it is not. And those who till stolen soil have no right to object when cast out in turn.
Your uncompromising nature rivals that of the Ixal. They too lament circumstances which they themselves perpetuate. Were they but to embrace peace, we would welcome them with open arms. Indeed, some few have done just that, and now receive of the Twelve's Wood's bounty. Would that your people might learn from their example.
You dare compare us to the Birdmen? You who thought to invoke the 12 and threaten all of creation?
Got her too?
I came here in the hope of finding some speck of common ground, but I see now these discussions will accomplish nothing. Despite what you people may believe, I am not wont to choose the sword over the olive branch. 'Tis but a pity men are loath to accept one without first being shown the other.
Wait, I beg you. This meeting was supposed to be a chance to find a way forward together, not to bemoan the missteps which brought us here. Please. If you truly consider violence a last resort, there must be a way we can come to an agreement.
As Mistress Alisaie says, we did not come here to bicker over the past, but to discuss how we might strive towards a brighter future. Emperor Varys, may I suggest a short recess, that all present might compose themselves prior to beginning anew?
Very well. I pray this intermission will suffice to move these talks in a more constructive direction.
He was certainly quite quick to point out all of our hypocrisies as well as, you know, I don't know what to call it, faults, imperfections. Basically trying to bring us to his level. Showing that we're really no better than him. And in a lot of ways, he's unfortunately right. I can see how well he related to Emmerich's father, too. They were cut from the same cloth in the end, weren't they? Whatever rebuttal I had in mind was lost when Varus mentioned my father. The man is certainly skilled at keeping his opponents off balance. Yeah, that, very much. For a moment, I feared our talks would descend into violence, there and then. Alize speaks of her dislike for politics, but her honest plea may very well have prevented an early battle. Yeah, she kind of, she stepped up there. We almost, started going at each other's throats. Why do I get the feeling the Emperor is hiding something? Varus holds fast to his ideals, just as I knew he would. He will not be swayed from this path. No. For years have we warred with the Empire, and with no end in sight. A parley such as this represents a unique opportunity, and I would not squander it with bitter words. Nor should you. That's very good thinking. 'Tis true that Limsa Lominsa's beginnings were not wholly honorable, but our old wrongs do not make the Empire's deed right. This is true. 2 wrongs don't make a right and all that. I do much wonder at Emperor Varus' decision to attend these negotiations. It is plain he has no intention of hearkening to our entreaties. But what then is his goal? It's a very good question. Yeah, he's obviously dead set on what he's doing. He's not swaying at all. Phew, this is really not my forte. After his Radiance's little performance, it was all I could do not to swear at him. I honestly don't know how I ended up playing the mediator. Yeah, exactly. That was kind of odd. I just asked myself what Alfina would have done, tried my best to do the same, and by some miracle it worked. But there really is no common ground to be found with that man, nor do I think he looked for any. So the question becomes, what did he come here to do? Because you may be certain it wasn't to make peace. No, it wasn't. Whatever it is, I can't make it out. Not yet, at least. We do have a little time before the parley is due to reconvene, though, so why not try consulting our illustrious leaders? Mayhap they have some insight to share. Alright. He didn't change his dialogue. This parley was never like to bring peace, but I had hoped to learn something of Emperor Varus' relationship with the Ascians. As had we all. Yet, if he is in league with them, he is not like to volunteer the fact. And if he is not, how much weaker would his position seem for their presence? If we are to broach that particular subject, we will need to be subtle. Would that I knew more of the man. If you would indulge me, Lord Ian. You received an imperial education, did you not? Is it true that the Emperor's will is considered absolute? There is no higher authority in all of Garlemald, nor else in the heavens, come to that. Veneration of the gods is forbidden, the only worship permitted being that of His Radiance's own person. No, okay, that confirms that they are atheists and only worship the Emperor himself. But yes, of course, that obviously sounds suspiciously like a religion in itself. Except the god is an actual person that's just standing there. I share your disdain for their hypocrisy. Even as they denigrate the idea of faith, they revere their leader with a fervor others reserve for the divine. 'Tis a flaw common to much of the doctrine they fed us. Logical on the surface, perhaps, but contradictory upon closer examination. I wonder if a discussion of the various discrepancies might prompt Varus to reveal something. Maybe. Okay, he went back to saying what he said before. Same. They probably still say the same thing. Yep. Oh, have mercy. But for Lady Alize's timely interjection, we might well have come to blows at the negotiating table. It was starting to get it's starting to get pretty heated. It was heading in that direction for sure. Not that Emperor Varus left us a great many options. Is unconditional surrender all he will accept, do you think? I think so, yeah. Ere he arrived, I'd have said yes, but having heard him speak, I cannot help but think he came with some other end in mind. Exactly. He's building up to something, I know it. Considering the Asians who are directing him, yeah, I don't think they will accept surrender even. I think they're meaning to exterminate us if they're really going to deploy Black Growth on us. How then should we approach the rest of the parley? Have you anything to say, Warrior of Light? Invite Varus to explain himself. You believe he is more apt to reveal the truth if we put him at his ease? Mayhap you are right. Thank you, Leon. Just my 2 cents. Okay, same thing as before. I do much wonder at Emperor Varus' decision to attend these negotiations. Oh, right. Same thing as before, yeah. So they give you a chance to read everyone's dialogue, basically. Even if you had already progressed with Alize. Because after you check off the little quest check marker there, they go back to saying what they said before. The meeting isn't due to reconvene for a while yet. You might want to ask the others what they think the Emperor is after. It's not impossible one of them could have spotted something we've missed. Very true. Melvin, you're the last one. What's up? I will say one thing for this Varus. He is well versed in Eorzean history. Of course, you gotta know your enemy, right? His interest in our affairs is that of a beast and its prey. The conqueror would know his enemies. Thank you, Connie. Literally what I just said. All should know their enemies. Yet there is much and more we do not know of the Empire. Well, yeah, why would they want us to learn about them? That would give us an advantage. They don't want that. It's a strong arm, I like it. But he also seems like the kind who would glorify himself, so this is also true. I'm sure Varus would be happy to tell you more of his own accord. Huh! He would have me ask the Emperor himself. Oh, mayhap there is some wisdom in that. Yeah. If he wants to prove he's like the dominant one here, he's not gonna do something, squeamish or squirmish, however you would word it, and shy away from a direct question. That's not really establishing dominance, that's kind of almost, betraying cowardice. He's not gonna do that. He'll never, he'll never try to let up or let off that he might be put off by us. He's too, that would make us think we have a chance, basically. He's gonna try to dominate us as hard as possible. If we can skirt the storm of his displeasure, we may yet come to our answers. Even if it does mean sailing close to the wind. Yeah, it's risky, but again, I really think he's the type that'll just be like, alright, you want to know more about me? Here it is. I'm not afraid of you. To put it succinctly, that's basically how he would have to come across to maintain his position over us. You've spoken with everyone, then? Good. Now all that remains is to await the pleasure of the Emperor and hope we fare better at the second attempt. Right.
Now then, who would have the floor?
Before we resume, I wish to offer you an apology. After you graciously accepted our invitation to discuss an armistice, we have done naught but rebuke you at every opportunity. I believe I speak for all of us when I say we are deeply sorry for our discourtesy.
I'll admit your familiarity with our affairs surprised me, and served to remind me how little I know of yours.
I think all here can understand the desire to reclaim one's homeland. But why expand further? That is my question.
If I may, the answer can be found in the Imperial doctrine they took great pains to impart to my people. Recognizing the threat icons pose to the world, Solus Zos Galvus decreed that they were to be eradicated. To this end, he began a campaign to unite all lands under the Garlean banner. Or so we were taught. Yet the Emperor only reached the burn, the Baron said to have been laid waste by Icons, after conquering all the lands that lay between. What is more, I am quite certain the practice of summoning was not nearly so widespread in the days before the Empire's founding.
When you put it like that, it all starts to sound like an excuse, doesn't it? But to distract from what? Why are you really waging this war?
Close to a flame.
Finally, you ask the right question.
Dangerous territory here.
I can but hope you heed mine answer and at last accept the righteousness of our cause. My goal is this: to return the world to the way it once was, the way it was always meant to be. In doing so, mankind will be made whole once more. No longer will we suffer from the dissension born of our differences. There will be but one race, a perfect race, as we were when time began.
You've gone all Hitler on us.
What in Rolga's name are you talking about?
I am talking about the origins of the star, of the source and its 13 reflections. At the instant of the great sundering, 'twas not only the world that was shattered, but mankind itself. Thus were we divided into myriad races, each with its own unique imperfections. That is why man looks upon his neighbor and feels fear and hatred, why he wages war, why he kills his brother. You all in your own way have proven as much today. The peace you seek is but a fleeting solution to a fundamental problem. One which calls for more drastic measures. To bring about everlasting peace, our worlds must be rejoined. That is the goal the Empire would see realized. The glorious future unto which we shall one day shepherd mankind.
A rejoining of worlds. I have heard this tale of the Source and its reflections before.
We all have.
Are these not the self-same desires as the Ascians?
Yes.
Emperor Varys, do not trust in their words. They will lead you to your doom. My father thought to use them, but in the end he succumbed to their temptations. He embraced summoning like so many other pawns before him. Do not tell us you mean to do the same.
To be a pawn, free from the burden of choice, would be a blessing. But I forswore that privilege the day I learned that the Garlean Empire was built by the hand of an Ascian.
He's actually telling us.
What?
Yes. My grandsire, the former emperor, is of their number. And who better to build an empire capable of bringing about the calamitous change we desire? Would you condemn me for this alliance? For bowing to the will of these shadowy masters, when the prize is true and lasting peace?
Damn, I don't know which one to say, but I'm gonna go with my first instinct. Your prize is a lie. Your master's demons.
I come not to conquer, but to liberate. To free man from the prison of divergence.
Imagine a world united. One perfect race beneath a single standard. An army before whose might these servants of darkness and light would fly as leaves in a storm, never again to meddle in man's affairs. We would be the masters of our own fate.
By doing what they want.
I bid you join me. Not as subjects of Garlemald, but of a new nation. And together we shall win freedom for ourselves and generations yet unborn.
You want to trigger another half-dozen calamities? You can't be serious!
Have you forgotten how many died? There will be no one left.
Do you truly imagine we would aid you in your bloodletting?
It is unthinkable, unconscionable.
And what is the alternative? To be as cattle waiting for slaughter? I would have us work together, that we might take fate into our own hands.
Into your hands, perhaps. But what of the other worlds, your radiance? With every calamity, you obliterate a star and every soul that dwells on it.
To the Ascians, we are all but tiny, momentary specks within an indifferent universe. We cannot hope to oppose them until we have been made whole once more.
Are these truly the words of Garlemald's ruler? The flaws and foibles which you so abhor are what make us who we are. Every nation, even yours, Emperor Varys, is made whole through the combination of these imperfections, the strengths of one compensating for the weaknesses of another. While it is true that man succumbs all too often to anger and avarice, he may yet overcome his baser instincts through the forming of bonds with others, fostering community and cooperation. That the protector of an empire should not only reject these fundamental truths, but seek to change them at so dear a cost to life is indefensible. Such a man is not fit to govern.
And you, warrior of light, would you refuse me as well?
If I didn't, I wouldn't be fighting against the Ascians, would I? We can defeat the Ascians as we are, and I cannot condone such a loss of life, more importantly. Fuck you.
It would seem the Alliance is of one mind on this matter.
You Eorzeans never cease to disappoint me. Though I suppose I have only myself to blame for expecting more from savages.
I was about to say, stop expecting so much then.
This discussion is at an end. I bid you make ready for our next meeting. It will not be at the negotiating table.
Well, shit. There you have it, folks. That was an intense discussion. Also, I wanted to point this out the entire time, but I couldn't because I didn't want to ruin the atmosphere of what was happening. This isn't really a cinematography sort of thing, but more like just the placement of all the characters there, all the figures, the head figures, basically, of every nation. It was, executed brilliantly. The way they had all of Eorzea's nation's leaders, basically, and their right hand, you know, because Lys and Ralbon are basically the same country, but they were both there anyway. It wasn't just one representative each. But the way they had them all on one side of the table, and then the Empire on the other side, obviously, because, you know, it's them versus him, basically. And yet, it still seemed perfectly balanced, didn't it? Because the Emperor has such a huge, imposing figure that, by himself, he was able to not only balance out the table, even though it was just him, and then, you know, versus everyone else on the other side, including, you know, me, my character. Just because of what he represents, as well as the big-ass armor he wears, he was able to not only balance it, but still almost basically dominate the entire table by himself on one side. And I thought that was brilliant. They really set up that scene to perfectly show just how powerful the Empire is, and how much they actually, you know, stand over the rest of us. It was very well done. I was like, he's by himself on the other side of the table, and yet he owns the fucking room. Like, you can tell he owns the whole room. It's insane. It's very well done, that scene. I am glad we arrived in time to aid in the battle. Though our vanguard may be small, these few are our chosen elite, the finest warriors of the Far East. Right on. We could use all the help we can get, so I won't turn my nose up at it. We suspected Ascians meddled in the shadows of the Empire, but the truth is far beyond my wildest imagining. At least now we know the face of our enemy and need not hesitate to strike at its heart. Yeah, now we know that our enemies are one and the same, the Ascians and the Garleans. They're one and the same, so that actually simplifies things for us. Doesn't make it easier, but... His grand plan is to bring about more calamities? This is insanity! This madman must be stopped at all costs! Agreed. The Empire exists to wage war, and war it shall have. But its vast armies pour in like the tides themselves. This could very well be the greatest military threat Eorzea has ever faced. Yeah, I can see that. Lucia, it's been a while. The Temple Knights have deployed in full strength. Eorzea's future is Ishgard's future, and our fates ride upon the outcome of this conflict. You know exactly how strong the enemy we face is, having come from Garlemald yourself. The Ascians are terrible beings indeed, that they would found an entire nation to further their dark designs. It seemed that the Empire's history is as sinister as Ishgard's own. Yeah, actually I can see that, yeah. Pippin? My first engagement as Flame General in this full-scale war with the Empire. I feel some measure of nervousness, of course, but I swear I will make Father proud in the battles to come. Go get him, Pippin. Ainzer Slafferson? Send me to the front lines, if you please. We'll give the Imperials a taste of the Maelstrom's cannons, not to mention my axe. You do have a strong axe. It makes a twisted kind of sense that the Empire was built by the Chaos Bringers themselves. The revelation yet rattles me, but now that we know our enemies are one and the same, we have a target upon which to unleash the full force of the Alliance. Exactly what I was just saying. Thank you very much for that. Now that we have learned that the Emperor's true purpose, war has become an inevitability. It's times like these I curse my own uselessness in battle. It's alright, Nanama. We all do what we can. Not all of us are made to fight. I refuse the Emperor's words with all of my being. What justice is there in an ideal that demands the sacrifice of so many? None. I'm with you, Kane. I was born in the Empire, but I will never serve the Emperor. Only the Seed Seer commands my loyalty. Oh, nice. He made it out into Eorzea and became one of Kane Senna's, like, right-hand people. Pretty cool. And I think that's everybody. Gotta talk to a lot of people, but yeah. Please. At your command now. I came back to find Doma's advance party ready and waiting for battle. Though, as worrying as our little chat with the Emperor was, it did buy enough time for at least some of our allies to arrive. Yeah. The face of war. Look at that picture, huh? Quite something, but that's the cliffhanger, because guess what? I gotta go. It's been 2 hours, like I said. So I gotta go run an errand, and then I'll be back to hopefully finish this off. The second half of 4.5. So the Face of War is actually the end of 4.50, basically. And then after that, they leave you with a small cliffhanger, and then you do 2 more quests for patch 4.56 before finally leading into the next expansion directly. But, yeah, like I said, I'll have to wait, because I gotta go take care of some shit. Like I said, not too much, though. I will be back shortly, so. Until then, folks, let's see, put up this. Safe, yeah. And I might as well just log out here, so we can get right back into it as soon as I get back. That dark, ominous sky, huh? Sign of what's to come, folks. A sign of what's to come. Alright. Enough rambling. So that's it for this stream. Like I said, it was a short one, but I will be back. But until then, as always, I bid you all to please, well, first of all, I gotta say thanks. It's a short one, but still, it's significant. Thank you very much for all of you who decided to tune in and watch, and for those of you watching in the future. I appreciate all of the support from all of you. And as always, now I can say it, please, look after yourselves and look after each other. Stay safe out there. And until next time, please have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I'll see you all then. Peace.